Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night is an anime that seems happy on the surface, focusing on the lives of high school girls who want to make it as a band. But the more you watch, the quicker you realize that the anime is much more than that. It doesn't just focus on the good parts of making it, but also explores the many struggles that come with it, such as controversies, hate comments, bullying, the feeling of not being good enough, and more. It's insanely realistic, and every single episode hit me harder than anything else I watched. You make a video that goes viral and everyone loves it, but those few hate comments still live rent-free in your mind. Oof. The feeling of getting too old for it but not knowing how to give up, and convincing yourself that you will make it next time for sure. Ugh. Watching the anime is painful, but I absolutely love it because it doesn't just throw thousands of depressing moments at us in the hope that we can relate to one. It also tries to solve them. It introduces us to characters with wide variety of common problems we all have faced and works toward fixing them with the help of each other, all mixed with absolutely stunning production and music. But is that enough to make a good anime? Is it something worth your time? Well, absolutely. But to convince you, let me take you on a journey, starting with the story itself. Introducing Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, this is Yoru, a normal high school girl who gave up on her dream of becoming an illustrator after her friends made fun of her drawing without knowing it was hers. She completely abandoned the idea of pursuing her dreams, but now she feels empty, unsure of what to do with her life as the end of high school looms uncomfortably close. However, one night while she was out, she noticed that someone had plastered posters all over her drawing. She was mad that someone ruined her artwork, but she just couldn't bring herself to speak out about it. She was ashamed of what people would think, but as she wanted to walk away, this happened. We are introduced to Kano, a former idol who was forced out of the industry after assaulting another girl in the group, leading to the fans forcing her to quit. She then shifted her focus to becoming a singer on YouTube under a new identity. When Yoru saw Kano standing up for her drawing, she immediately went after her and they started talking. Kano revealed that she's a huge fan of Yoru's drawing. They kept talking and it got a lot deeper than expected. When Yoru realized how similar they are, but also how Kano never gave up on becoming successful, she ran away. However, a few days later, they ran into each other again, talked things through, and Kano convinced Yoru to draw for her. Now they work together on the YouTube channel Jelly, and in later episodes two other girls, Mei the composer and Kiwi the editor, joined them to form a band. The story itself is really simple, exactly what you would expect from a slice of life anime. For those who don't know, slice of life is a genre that focuses more on the characters themselves, their interactions and their everyday lives, rather than a detailed plot filled with action. And to be fair, I'm kind of bored with action-filled plots and definitely prefer these more laid-back types of anime nowadays. At first, the anime comes off as one of the subgenres of slice of life called CGDCT, which stands for cute girls doing cute things. As the name suggests, these anime focus on girls being as cute as possible, placed in some super wholesome scenarios. However, this anime does the exact opposite. While initially it feels like a mix of Bocchi the Rock and Oshinoko, which is not surprising, considering it is the studio's most successful anime by far. Executing a similar idea seems logical, but that is not exactly what Dogakobo did. They didn't just make another idol anime, they took the setting and twisted it into a completely different idea, which is the first thing that makes this anime stand out, its execution. The anime strikes the perfect balance of comedy and realism, which makes it such a good watch. It's also important to point out that despite it being a slice of life, every scene matters, every conversation matters, it constantly moves forward. This means that the anime has an actual plot, which is surprisingly unique for this genre. The characters always had something they were aiming to do, even if it was something really small like getting a license or finishing a drawing. That is the kind of story I expect and want from a slice of life, and this anime perfectly delivers that. When I initially started watching it, I expected another anime focusing on music and becoming more popular. While that is indeed part of it, the main focus is on the characters themselves, what they went through, their insecurities, how they can improve and what they can do. So far, the focus of every single episode has been based on that idea. We get a new character, learn their backstory, discover their issues, and the episode ends with them getting closer to solving it. While it may sound repetitive, the writer did an amazing job incorporating these small stories into one big narrative where every character is involved in some way. I really enjoyed how relatable these stories are. They are all things that we might have experienced ourselves, which is the main attraction of the anime. Now to understand a bit more about the characters themselves, let's talk about them. I love the way the characters are written. The anime perfectly captures the essence of teenage emotions, insecurities, and the struggles of self-discovery, while portraying genuine growth and maturity that sometimes hits way too close to home, making us realize we are not that different. First we are introduced to Yoru. She's the most normal girl out of the four and the one we follow the most. She's an illustrator who loves drawing but struggles to appreciate her own work. She always cared more about other people's opinion rather than her own, which made her really vulnerable and led her to quit. As she returned to drawing, she encountered the same issue again. Other, more popular illustrators were drawing fan art that a lot of people loved. Consequently, comments started appearing about how her art sucked and how they should hire the more popular illustrator. Despite being only a few comments out of thousands of positive ones, it hit her hard and bothered her. She wanted to quit again. She felt like everyone else was just so far ahead of her. What I really love about her story is the way she overcame it. She didn't just ignore it or quit because of it. She acknowledged the fact that she could be better, that she can be better. And she worked harder and put more effort into her drawings than ever before. Out of all the stories, this is probably the most relatable one for me, because simultaneously while the episode aired, one of my videos gained a lot of traction. This brought many positive comments and likes, but also a few negative comments that I just couldn't forget. This episode helped me understand how I should deal with and think about such criticism. The next character is Kano, who completely takes over the spotlight as she's much more extroverted than any of the other characters. She's a bubbly and caring person who is impossible to hate and is the obvious favorite for the most. Her story is probably the most fleshed out as it doesn't just focus on one particular issue. There is her past, her relationship with her mother, and most importantly, her future. The focus of the latest episode was about everyone's future, and while most of them had a pretty good idea of what they wanted, Kano had nothing. She wanted to get 100k subscribers, but never thought beyond that. What will she do when she grows up? It is painful listening to it as it is one of the most grounded and common stories out of all of them. I like that the anime didn't resolve this in one episode. She simply wanted another goal, which was getting her license. I really appreciate that it shows you that you should take your time, focus on one thing you really want, and not rush into everything. The third member is Mei, who is a bit of a weird character, I can't lie. While I expected her to be calm and introverted, she actually came off as the exact opposite because she was a huge fan of Kano when she was an idol. Mei is really weird, looks the same as Kano did as an idol and even has the same bag. It was quite strange and uncomfortable to watch it initially, but I really liked her story. It makes us understand why she acts the way she does. When she was younger, she was the type of character I expected, a really shy and introverted girl who didn't fit in. She was bullied, had no friends, and never felt happy. However, one day she met Kano, who was the polar opposite of her, or at least that's what she thought. But that wasn't the case, they were very similar. Neither of them had friends or got along with anyone. Yet Kano was still oozing with confidence and pure happiness. That encounter changed the way Mei thought about herself. She changed herself into someone she thought would fit better, which turned her into this crazy fan, but also made her more confident in herself. The final piece they needed for the group was someone who could animate and edit their videos, which is where Yoru's good friend Kyoi came into the picture. She's a VTuber, and initially she came off as very secretive because she was hiding her identity from everyone else. She was a really good friend of Yoru, but they hadn't seen each other in years. We thought she was extroverted, energetic, and smart, but that is exactly what made everything worse for her. When she separated from Yoru and went to a new school, she couldn't fit in at all. Everyone looked at her like she was an idiot. For once, she felt like no one liked her, which made her never want to go back to school again. It's kind of the opposite of Mei's story, but there was never a conclusion to it, which I really liked. You cannot just suddenly change in one episode and go back like nothing happened. I liked that it was a slow process of just opening up to Yoru and her friends. The anime does an amazing job of balancing the character's issues with its comedy. It doesn't try to be overly depressing or anything like that. I really like that it sometimes breaks away from serious moments to make us laugh, such as this random scene of Yoru dancing, which is hilarious.
Got it from my daddy. I got it from my daddy.
Although in my opinion, the reason this anime works so well is because of its production. Nowadays, most anime have pretty good levels of production, but last year Dogokobo did an outstanding job with Oshinoko, and once again with this anime. This anime doesn't just look amazing, but it also has in-depth writing that I really appreciate, especially considering this is an original anime. Usually that's where most of them fall off, unless it's made by Madhouse. When it comes to animation specifically, so far it's really consistent. It may not have as many of those insane shots as the first episode, but it still looks really good. One thing that stood out for me though was the voice acting. While there are some well-established ones, there are also quite a few who never had a big role before, yet they did an amazing job. Obviously, having Takahashi Rie as Kano is perfect. She really fits this type of character, but I was even more impressed by Mei's voice actor, especially in these scenes. Overall, Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night is my favorite anime from this season, and I really hope that it will get the attention it deserves, because it's genuinely outstanding. So if you got this far, but haven't watched it, please check it out. Also like, subscribe, check this other video about another season anime that is a lot bigger. Goodbye.